Hello, 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 and welcome once again to today's podcast episode. I have a very incredible guest with me this morning, and I'm so excited. I hope you can feel my excitement in my voice. So, first of all, let's meet our lovely guests. Tomiisin Balogun. She is lovingly known as the Joy Merchant. She is an emotional wellness coach and counselor dedicated to uplifting and empowering women to pursue their God given dreams. As a compassionate encourager and a voice of hope to our world, Tomiisin excels at creating safe, nurturing spaces where women can unburden, heal, and reclaim their joy. She has a passion for helping women, and this comes across when you speak to her. She's so calm. And in particular, she helps women to overcome traumatic experiences, transforming their pain into purpose, a journey she herself has gone through. And she explores this powerfully in a book called Purposeful Pain. I have read that book, and honestly, you need to read it to experience it. In our work, Tosin expertly blends faith based principles with practical life strategies. She offers unwavering support for women's mental health. Influence extends across several nations in Africa, guiding teenage girls and women, helping them make profound impact even in their own communities. I believe that Tomiisin is a true catalyst for emotional wellness. So join us today. Let's listen to her inspiring story and let's discover how she helps women everywhere find healing and happiness. I am Dr. Jaye, your host as usual, and today's episode feels like, for me, it's going to be like a life coaching experience. So forgive me if I become emotional during this episode. Tomiisin, I feel so safe with you, even though we have never met before. And this is awesome. There's just this awesome, beautiful aura about you, so calming. And I sense this so strongly. How did you get here, Tomiisin? Can you share a little bit about your journey with us?
Thank you so much, Dr. Jai, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining and for tuning in. So, yeah, my name is Tomiisin Balogun. And, just as Dr. Jai has introduced me, I'm very passionate about emotional wellness. This is my calling. This is where I'm most anointed with. So, I'm very grateful to be here. So, about my journey, okay, so I always say that there has always been an encourager in me, like from a very young age. Like I'm the one that people will share like very deep stuff with as young as 8 years old, my aunties, big aunties will share stuff with me as things that are as deep, very deep things that I couldn't even understand at that time, things like things happening in their marriages, their sex lives. And I'm like, why are they sharing these things with me? So I'd always been that girl, that people feel very safe with growing up. It's always been like that, even up until secondary school. Tomiisin is the happy-go-lucky. Everybody wants to be a friend. I remember I even won an award for the most amiable student. So, yeah. So it has always, I'd always had an encourager in me, but, I didn't know what to make of it. I just, just lived my life that way. So fast forward to when I got married. And, I got pregnant, as a new bride, expecting my baby. Eventually, we found out that we were having a set of twin boys, and it was so beautiful. Like the pregnancy journey was so interesting. And, it was so good. I had a very fantastic experience. And, fast forward to having to give birth at delivery. So I gave birth to those babies and, they were dead, like dead.
Oh, I'm so sorry to
Yeah.
hear this.
Yeah. So, it was a stillbirth. It was a very painful experience. I remember Dr. Jaya has read my book. I shared that journey vulnerably. And if you want to know the nitty-gritty, you should get my
Yes.
book. Yeah. So, it was such a very traumatic experience for me, and I went through a lot of, process in that time, and God brought me through a healing journey, right from the process that it happened up until now. And, I'm still healing. That is the truth. I'm still on that journey of healing. Healing never ends. It always happens in layers. Even when you think that it has, you've healed, there's still so much work to be done on you. And, as you keep following God, you keep finding out things because you don't even know the impact of that pain on you. You don't know how far gone that thing affected you on your soul, on your mind. So it will keep happening in layers. So, and God brought me through that journey. And, that's how I started. I started to minister to people. I host healing hangouts, for women. I started to use my gift. And, I just felt like God started to call me deeper to say, you know what, you have to like take this seriously. And, on my own path too, there's also this area where I'm thinking, you know what, this pain cannot waste. It can't go to
Absolutely.
waste. I have to use it. I have to bet something bigger. And our highest healing always comes from betting purpose out of our pain. Even the whole process of writing my book was such a healing experience for me. I experienced healing all over again. When people tell me that they read my book and they found healing, they are so encouraged, they're so inspired, I'm healed all over again. I feel the
Mm,
joy all over again. I'm like, no, this pain did not go to waste
mm,
eventually. So yeah,
mm,
that's how I started my journey into this whole, theme of emotional wellness. And
mm.
we are here today.
Amazing, amazing. And again, once again, my deep, 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 my deep, I would say, not sorry, but my, I really felt that story about the stillbirth and how you
Mm,
explained it. You went into detail. You were so vulnerable with that. And it's so easy for us to hide pain. You don't want to
mm,
talk about it because in one way you
yeah.
feel like it opens the wound. Some people say it
Mhm.
opens the wound again. But
Absolutely.
I find it incredible that you have been so transformed by your experience that actually, when people talk about it with you, you actually find the joy that people have been
Yeah.
transformed. There's one thing I have read recently that healing does not mean the damage never existed. You are not
Mm,
denying that there wasn't any damage. Like you rightly said, there's that internal damage, physical damage,
mhm.
but it means that the damage no longer controls our lives.
Absolutely.
And that is, one of the deepest things I have actually learned from reading your story. It doesn't control our lives, but even if it has to, it controls it in a very positive way. Um, and
Absolutely.
and also when you said healing is a journey, my word, that was deep. And that's one thing I find in a lot of the kind of women I'm hoping this would help today, that a lot of women over the age of 40, they begin to experience a lot of emotional changes, hormonal changes, their body physically changes. There was one day a woman told me that I can't look at my body. And I wondered, wow, that is such a deep thing to say. So certainly
Mm,
something has happened to that woman, and she finds it difficult to look at the pain in the face. She would rather just look elsewhere. And, we experience all sorts of ups and downs, and it takes a lot. Sometimes I have to say to people, you need someone to hold your hand through this. And that is
absolutely.
why I appreciate the work you do as a coach, an emotional coach. And sometimes people say, oh, there are coaches for everything. Absolutely. Just there are doctors for everything. You have a doctor for
Everything.
the heart, you have a doctor for the brain, you have a doctor for the guts. So that's why we have to have people who can hold our hand in every aspect of our lives. And that's why there's
Absolutely.
so many different types of us all over the world. So going back to my next question now, a woman going through, hormonal changes once they hit midlife, they carry baggage. I don't know if you've heard of that, emotional baggage
Absolutely.
from all sorts of different things, whether or not is, a failed relationship, reject children leaving home, children, especially older children. There's a lot of regrets, there's a lot of burdens. And some people call them the sandwich generation. You have
Mm,
older parents you're looking after, and you have your children that you're looking after. So I find that a lot of women in midlife have a lot of emotional and mental illnesses. In
mm,
fact, studies have shown that sadly, there is a higher level of depression and suicide in women over the age of 40. And that is because they've carried pain and they don't want to look at that pain anymore. They
mm,
just hide it inside a box. They keep pushing
mm,
things inside the box,
mm.
suppressing it, and it begins to come out. Do you think there's any hope? What would you say to a woman in midlife who has maybe not recognized this? What would you say? Is there any hope for them at all?
Mm, mm. Absolutely, there is hope. And honestly, if you're a woman in your, 40s, you're experiencing midlife right now, I just want to hug you. Honestly, I just want to hug you. I just want to give you a very big hug and,
Oh, thank you.
and
I
tell
feel
you
that.
that you are amazing and
Mm,
you're doing amazing. Honestly, the truth is that as we grow old, we experience all these different life transitions and, changes in our bodies and everything that happens. The first thing I would say is that you have to give yourself some grace.
mm,
You have to give yourself some grace. Your body is going through a lot. You are going through so much. You are not giving yourself enough grace and enough credit for what is going on in your life. Because so many things, so many reasons why women feel a lot of all this emotional burden and emotional baggage is because many times, they've spent time taking care of people, taking care of their families, taking care of, their children without really taking care of themselves.
absolutely.
It's very easy. And, just as mothers, even young mothers, you're taking care of everybody and you
Mm,
forget to take care of yourself.
mm,
It does such disservice to us as women. And from today, I want to encourage you to embrace your own life. Be
mm,
present in your own life. Like, I know that is hard. I know that is hard, taking care of everybody, but you have to be present in your own life. You have to
mm,
accept that this is my life and there is no one, if I don't take care of myself, no one is going to take care of me. In
mm,
fact, nobody is going to value you as much as you value yourself. If you see that people don't value you, it's a reflection of how you value yourself. So you have to take
mm,
yourself, first in that equation and say, I am going to take care of myself. I am going to care for
mm.
myself. And one of the things that I do with my clients when we have sessions is that we come up with a personalized self-care plan. And when I start to ask questions, I find out that these women don't even know themselves. They don't know themselves. They don't understand what is going on.
I
So
can.
when we start doing that exercise, I find out that these women don't even know themselves. Like, they're still talking about how, when I ask questions like, okay, what refreshes you? What recharges you? What gives you joy? They can't really articulate what they really want. And that's such a big thing in self-care. You have to understand what triggers you, what gives you joy, where do you go that makes your heart happy? What are the things that you need
Mm,
to do? What are the things that you do that makes your heart giddy? You have to find out those things. And, I call it going to the university of yourself. You have to learn about
mm,
yourself. You have to really learn about yourself. Like, it's so, so important. And, it's very easy to, be caught up in, all the activities and everything. But every day you have to, you know,
check
sit
in.
down and say, yeah, how can I take care of myself today? I've been there for
Mm,
everybody, even if it's 5 minutes that you have to spend that time with yourself. Women we don't spend time with ourselves enough. You have
we
to really
don't.
be in that place of solitude and, just being in that moment and just accepting yourself and just saying, this is my moment and I'm going to be present. There are so many things that I can say to women in for example, that woman that you say doesn't love her body. There are so many things that is powering that. Your body is your body. Like, it's your
I
body.
know.
you know, it can't be someone else's body. So if you don't accept your body, like, no one is going to accept it. If you don't accept your flaws, your
Absolutely.
husband is
Honestly,
not going to love your body.
But yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I agree with you that actually that brief second she said it, it really touched me, and I felt like, my goodness, I have a lot of work to do here. Honestly, because like I said, it just reflects on so many things. It's, even though they say self love, there's a balance with it. But at this point in time, I felt like the balance had gone a little bit one sided and there was no self love. And I agree, it's the way you see yourself that people will see you. And that is such a big, big, big thing. One of the things I loved that you said is give yourself some grace. Honestly, give yourself some credit. And that comes from a place of knowing that if you're not filling your cup, there's no way you can fill any other person's cup.
Absolutely.
And if you keep going that way, and that's what they call burnout, you just keep pouring out. After a while, there's no fuel anymore, and you just completely become dry. And yes, we carry baggages. Life is full of ups and downs. And we're not denying this doesn't exist, but it's always not letting it control our lives. One of the things I've learned from you is that there is nothing called a negative emotion. I think bad things happen and it makes us sad. It makes us mad. Um, how is that possible that there is no negative emotions? Tell us a bit more about that.
Okay. So you know that whole statement about no negative emotions, or there are no emotions that are negative, it's just emotional literacy, and it's just a way to further understand our emotions. And that's what emotional wellness is about. There are
Mm,
no negative, we don't call them negative emotions because all emotions are important. Some
mm,
might not be as important as the others, but they are all important. And because emotions are just, they're signals, they tell us what is happening in our souls. They tell us what is happening in our bodies. They tell us what is happening in our minds. So they are signals. They are the things that tell us, they are like a gateway into our souls. When you understand your emotions, you understand what is happening in your body, you understand what is happening in your mind. So, you understand your emotions help you understand your values.
mm,
It tells you that, okay, this is the thing that I value. For example, anger. When you are angry about something, when you really dig deep into that, anger, you will find out that, okay, this is the reason why I'm angry.
mm,
I wanted this. This is what I actually love. This happened and I didn't like it. So this
mm.
anger is telling me that, okay, this is the things that I value.
Yeah.
This is the things that I want. So that is what, that old statement of no negative emotions means, because those emotions that you've quote and unquote negative, they tell you what you value. They tell you the things that is happening in your body. And also understanding that, there are no negative emotions also helps those emotions to have less negative effects on you. When you're having, you're just hungry, when you understand the meaning, when you see your emotions as neutral, those negative emotions, when you see them as neutral, it will have less control over you. It will have less, it will reduce the quote and unquote, negative effects on
Of it.
you, because you really understand what is going on, and you are able to, better manage your emotions. And that's why the Bible says, be angry, but do not sin. Because anger is such a powerful emotion that you can channel into a good thing. And when you also understand the background of your anger, you
Yeah.
will really learn a lot of things. So be
For
angry,
yourself.
but don't sin.
Mm,
Don't allow that anger to control you. You would
mm,
be angry because you are a human being. You have emotions. That is how God made you. Bible says that we do not have an high priest that is not touched with the feelings of our infirmity. He said he understands everything that we are going through. He knows it. He can feel it. So he has made you that way. You are an emotional being. You get.
mm,
So there
mm,
are no negative emotions. You can understand. Your emotions just help you to understand your values, to understand what you need, to understand what is going on in your soul. And when you accept it that way, the power of those emotions, they will be reduced over you, and you'll be able to better
mm,
be in
mm.
control of your emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot about self-regulation, and I'm hoping we can talk about that in a bit. But when you were talking, something that just occurred to me is, you know how we feel hungry. we know it, you just begin to eat, 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 eat.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do it unconsciously. You just go to the kitchen, even if you're not feeling hungry, you just go and eat. And then you begin to look at yourself like, what am I eating? And you begin to go back to like, okay, what's going on? And then you begin to recognize that actually I feel hungry, or I feel bored, or I feel low in mood.
Mm-hmm.
And then that triggers a response. And that's
Yeah.
the same way. And that's the understanding I'm getting with some of our emotions. Just like we feel hungry, and because or we feel low, or we feel bored, then we go and eat. And
Mm.
I think that's what I understand with that feeling angry, and then people
Yeah.
become physical. There's that bit,
Mm.
there's that connection between the way we
Mm.
feel and the way we act. And it's
Mm-hmm.
understanding that emotion behind it that we begin to see where
Absolutely.
our value
Mm-hmm.
is. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for explaining. The more you talk, it's as if there is a book inside me that is just excited. Some neurons in my head are just packing like,
I love it.
look, I am loving this. Thank you so much. Now, my next question is actually, I have found that some people don't recognize their emotions. I was in a meeting one day and somebody said something along the lines of, what if you don't have those feelings? I was actually surprised somebody could ask that question, like, what do you mean by what if you don't have those feelings? Don't you even have feelings at all? So what if people struggle to express themselves emotionally? Would you call that emotional numbness? Have they numbed it, or are they just neglecting themselves? And how can people recognize this?
Yes, it's in between, emotional neglect and really not understanding what your emotions are about. So one of the reasons why people are not in tune with their emotions is because, it's the story that they've told themselves over the years. And, the truth is that some people are actually more in tune with their emotions than the others. That's the truth. We are all emotional beings.
Mm,
That is how God made us. But some of us naturally, women, for example, are more in tune than men. There are also many men who are in tune, but most men are not in tune with their emotions. And
mm,
it's just basically because some of them is because of what the society has said to them about being emotional. Men don't cry, you shouldn't show your emotions. Many people who have heard these things over the years, they just feel like there is no reason to be emotional. Like you shouldn't cry. People should not know. They will call you weak. They will call you. So these are like narratives that the society has, given to people, that has made them to numb their emotions, that has made them to neglect their emotions, that has made them not to be in tune with their emotions. But you find out that when you are in tune with your emotions, you have more power. That is the truth. Like you feel more powerful when you're in tune with your emotions. And there is just something about crying that is just so powerful. And I know we'll get to, the old, you're a doctor, the parasympathetic sympathetic nerves and all of that, everything, how it helps you regulate. Some of those things, when you cry it out, you are able to your nervous system is more regulated. Because if you bury those emotions, they will keep affecting you. You cannot come to a state of balance. Neurobiology is so beautiful because everything is connected. Like your body is connected with your soul, your spirit, everything. You are a whole being. So
mm,
everything is so connected with each other. So, but when you neglect one part, it will affect the others. And that's why you see people, they are being unnecessarily irritated. They're just hungry for no reason because
mm,
they've buried a lot of emotions in their bodies that they have not been able to express. Some
mm.
people, when you see them in sessions, like some of them, they'll tell you that they've not cried in like 5 years. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Like, and when in sessions you just see them, can I cry? They're asking, can I cry? It's okay to cry.
Right.
Like take tissues, take box of tissues and just cry. Allow yourself to just wail, because you need to be present in those emotions. Because if you can't even express your emotions, if you are bottling up your emotions, you are not going to heal. That is the truth. Healing comes from being able to process your emotions. You have to process those emotions. They always say, don't live in regret. You have to live in that regret for some time for you to understand what really happened in that moment and really understand that, okay, this is what I should have done better. Okay, I forgive myself for this. I did this. Okay, I forgive myself. I'm going to allow this whole process. I'm going to let it go. But if you're not even present, if you don't experience those emotions that happened during those times when that painful thing happened to you, you're not going to heal. You're not going to heal. So my encouragement to you is to accept your emotional life. Like, accept your emotions. God put it there for a reason. You are a whole being. And the longer you keep burying your emotions, you keep neglecting it, you keep numbing it, it's going to do a disservice to you, to your body. I know you're a doctor, you can speak more to this. Like, there are so many diseases and problems that people have. You go to the hospital, they'll say there's nothing. They can't see anything. You get everything is fine. But the problem is in your soul. Everything started from your soul because you have buried up a lot of emotions. And those emotions, they translate to physical illness in your body because they've stayed there for so long. You didn't allow yourself to cry. You didn't allow yourself to feel. You didn't allow those things to come out of you so that you can come to a state of balance. So my encouragement to everyone is to accept your emotional life. It's so powerful. It will help you. You will live a good life. You will live a better life. You will live a whole life when you learn to embrace your emotions. So don't numb your emotions. Don't neglect your emotions. Yes, accept it for what it is, and because that is who you are. Yeah.
Well, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about, perhaps if we swapped a little bit out of emotional, what I would call emotional symptoms, and we go into physical symptoms as a doctor. Sometimes you see people who have diabetes. And, diabetes is when you have too much sugar in the bloodstream and is affecting people. And it goes through different stages. A lot of people who have diabetes have had it maybe for some time. The levels don't just drop. I mean, it goes from 0 to 100 in some people, but sometimes it's gradual. And you will recognize, some people will recognize it, some people don't. And you can imagine people who recognize the symptoms, but they deny it. They neglect it. And they can see that, look, this is happening to my body. I'm weighing a lot, drinking a lot, but they keep neglecting it. They keep neglecting it. Yeah, I can't be bothered. I'm too busy. Eventually, what's going to happen? They're going to have some very serious, illness that would, be very life-threatening. And that's the way it is with our emotions. If you don't recognize it, that's fine. But once you begin to recognize it, or you begin to see the way you treat other people, like you said, it is like a door that is being knocked, Something is
Absolutely.
knocking on the door of your soul, of your life. Like, look, I really want to help you, daughter. I really want
Yeah.
to help you. Go and find some help. Go and find some help. And it's important not to ignore it. Wow, this is so beautiful. And there's one when I read your book, you said something along the lines like, if you're not spiritually fed, you will be emotionally led. And I loved that. I thought, you know what? We all need to be fed one way or the other, and both of us have the same values as, I'll call us faith girls,
Yeah.
we believe in God, and we we believe is the source of our life, is the source of our being. So tell me a bit more for perhaps some other listeners who might not be Christians and they don't really know what it means to be spiritually fed. I don't know. Can you throw some
Okay.
light?
It's all right. Yeah. So that all that really means is about your anchor
Mm,
and what controls your life. We all have an anchor. That is the truth. Whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever it is, that you have something that anchors your life. You have something that you believe in. You have that thing that controls your life. And that's what it means to be emotionally to be spiritually fed. So if you're not spiritually fed, if you're not well anchored, you'll be emotionally led. And I talked about how everything is connected. If you're not anchored in that thing, like Dr. Jai said, we are faith girls and we are anchored in God. God is our anchor. Is the one that we run back to when everything fails, when we don't know where to turn to. So it's the one that anchors us. So if you don't have that anchor in your life, you'll be emotionally led. You won't be able to understand what is going on in your emotions. Like when your emotions are going gaga, 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 and you can't process them anymore. Everything has run out of. There is no anchor. You'll just be led, emotionally. While your emotions are powerful, you have to be able to understand them and be able to regulate them. And one of the powerful ways in which you regulate your emotions is to be spiritually fed, to be anchored in something deeper, something that helps, that controls your life. I call it your operating system. What is that operating system? That is undergirding every other thing. Your belief is the one that is going to control your thoughts. Is the one that is going to control your emotions. Is the one that is going to control your behavior. So that is the very first thing.
Umbrella.
Exactly. So that your belief, that's the first thing. And that is what it means to be spiritually, fed. When you are not spiritually fed, you'll be emotionally led. You won't know where to turn to when everything fails and you don't know how to deal with life anymore. So yeah, that is what that statement means.
And moving on, let's build up on that just for a few more.
Mm,
Give me what you say will be your own top tips with having an anchor or just kind of
mm,
recovering from emotional
mm,
trauma and
mm.
finding joy in
Yeah.
life. What would you say would be maybe your 3 tips, 5 tips, 7 tips? However, we're ready for you.
Yeah, it's all right. Okay, so the first thing I would say is that you should allow yourself to grieve. Many times when things happen to us like that, we don't even have time. We don't even take time to grieve. When I say grieve, it's not only when you have lost someone. Grief is in different levels. It can be the loss of something so dear to you. Just like we're speaking about women in their midlife, it can be the fact that your children have left. You are now alone. You need to grieve that process. It can be that you lost your job or you lost your peace, you lost your joy, you lost something important to you, you lost a friendship, a friendship that is so dear to you. You lost that friendship and you don't know how to go back to status quo. You have to allow yourself to grieve. You have to be present. You have to experience all those emotions before you can heal, before you can get back to normal, before you can heal from that experience. So allow yourself to grieve. When in my sessions, when I'm talking to people, and I ask, how did you experience this thing? They can't really explain because they've not really given themselves time to grieve that process. They're just glossing over it. Healing from something is different from getting over something. People just gloss over it. They just get over it and move on. You have to be able to grieve. You have to allow yourself to experience those emotions. So that's the very first thing that I would say,
Mm.
the very first tip. Another tip that I would like to share, which is is what we've been speaking about, is to seek support. Like, don't do life alone. And that's one of the reasons why women in their midlife are experiencing a lot of emotional damage and all of that. They are trying to do life alone. Seek support. Like, be in healing communities. This one is so powerful. Like, find communities that you can plug yourself into. God has created us for relationships. Don't even do life alone. Like, don't be isolated. Find your own tribe, find your own people. There are different places. And I know that one of the reasons why people don't want to give themselves to relationships is also because of trauma, because of the
Yes.
betrayers that
Oh
they've
gosh.
had, in their lives. And, That's
Yeah.
why healing is just so powerful. You have to continue to heal. That's why healing must be embraced as a lifestyle. Every
Mm,
day you are healing. You are, you are processing what has happened to you. You are forgiving yourself. You are forgiving your friend. You are forgiving. You are embracing a new life every day.
mm,
So yeah, seek support. Very important. Now, the third tip, I've spoken about self-care. Self-care is so powerful. Like, you have to take time for yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to find out those things that recharge you. You have to
mm,
spend time with yourself a lot. You have to learn about yourself. It's so powerful. And we're speaking to women in their midlife. You can start your life all over again.
again. Mm,
You can start all over again. Like, you are not too old for anything. You are not too
absolutely.
young for anything. You can start all over again. If you feel like you've spent your time, taking care of your kids, you didn't go to school, you can go to school again. There is no time that you cannot. That is the beauty about this life. You can go back to school and say, I want to live the life that I want now.
Mm,
You can
mm,
start your life all over again. You don't need the permission of anyone. You
mm,
need the permission of yourself. In fact, at this time is when you can even do anything that you like, because many times your children are out of the house, you have time to yourself. So you
mm,
can go back to school. You
mm,
can learn that chore that you had always wanted, that dream, that childhood dream that you have always wanted to pursue. This is the time to pursue it. You
mm,
can embrace it now. Don't worry about what people will say. Don't worry about people thinking, this old cargo, something, something. No, it's not about them. It's about you. It's about what gives you joy. Pursue joy for yourself.
absolutely.
Go after joy. Go after what gives you joy. This is the time. You are not too old for anything. And I know that this happens a lot. For example, me, and I was sharing with you earlier that I want to go back. I want to go back to school. I want to travel abroad, but I can't because I have young children, that I'm still taking care of. But I'm being present in that moment, and I'm exploring other things. And this is just to younger women now,
Mm,
where you are in that season of your life, you're feeling like, oh, I want to do this, but I have young children that I have to sacrifice for. What are the other options? What are the things that you can be doing whilst you are preparing for, the life that you really desire? There will always be options. There will always be things that you can do. And, don't live in regrets, don't live in regret. Find something else that you will be doing. And, if you don't even have the opportunity to do those things, accept that taking care of your kids is as important. What you are doing right now is as important as what you really aspire to do. Everything is as important. So be present. If that is the only thing that you want to do, be present. Mindfulness is also a powerful thing. Be mindful about this thing. I'm taking care of my kids. This is my moment. This is my season. I'm going to embrace it. So it's not like you are taking care of your kids, but your mind is somewhere else. You are thinking, you won't be able to experience the fullness of that season of your life. And
mm,
all the things that God has in store for you in that season, you won't be able to experience it. So you have to be present in that season. So while you are praying and believing God for the
mm.
season of your life that you desire. So enjoy your life. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Don't tie the world to your chest. It's not as hard as you think. You're feeling insecure about your body. Just look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, Tomiisin, you are beautiful, regardless of how your stomach is. Yes, you are going to work out. You are making plans to start to work out. But right now, I love my body just the way it is. I love my body. You are so beautiful. Look at yourself in the mirror. Oluwatomisin, God made you in his own image, and
Mm,
you are
mm,
beautiful.
mm,
Accept yourself. A lot of the work that you need to do is on yourself. It's not
mm.
really about what is happening outside. It's about you, because you are the one that is going to power everything that is happening in your life. So accept yourself, embrace yourself, enjoy your life. God has given you this life to enjoy. Don't allow the devil to steal your joy. Find your joy. I can continue
Honestly.
like that. Yeah. So yeah, that is
You were
it.
just calling my name, Jaye. Enjoy your life, Jaye. And that's why I love my name. Because
Yeah,
you know,
Yes,
Name.
Jaye, Jaye, oh, Jaye, Jaye. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes,
Jaye means enjoy your
your
life. That
life.
is what it
Yes,
means. I love
that's
it.
it.
I love
The
it.
prophetic name. So people just talk it. I like, yeah, you're just calling my name
I
anyhow.
love it. I love
But,
it. I
but
love it.
but look at those. I feel those three tips, like 3 million tips in three. It's so beautiful. There, it's almost like you can talk each of those steps. You can so break it down, but we
Mm.
have the limits of our time. But I feel like there's just so much in you, Tomiisin, and each
Thank
of those
you.
things you have. There's so many strands that we can pull out. But the bottom line
Absolutely.
is being intentional, isn't it?
Mm,
Being intentional to look after yourself, being intentional to give yourself grace, being intentional to allow yourself to feel those emotions,
absolutely.
acknowledge those emotions, recognize it. And also, one important thing is you said seek support, seek
Mm,
communities. Sometimes
yeah.
those communities actually make you feel heard, make you
And
feel
sin.
seen.
Yeah.
And you come out from it being a better person. You feel prepared even to
Yeah.
help other people. I'm so grateful for your time. Honestly, Thomas, I feel like we need to, properly sit down and, have a bit more conversation. But two more questions before we go. Maybe
Mm,
one for you, one for me. Should we do it that way so
okay.
that it's
It's
50-50?
okay. It's all right.
Let me see. Is now Dr. Ask Dr. Jaye
Mm,
your time to ask me, because the last question I have for you is a fire one.
yes.
So please ask me any question you feel you would like, be happy to ask me. And if you don't, well, I'll just, ask you my own.
Yeah, you can talk to us about this parasympathetic nerves. I know that, yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Talk to us
Yes,
about it because I love it. It's so sweet. I love it. I
honestly,
teach it as well. But yeah,
yes.
from a doctor's, yeah,
Point of view.
perspective,
I
yeah.
like breaking things down into very simple concepts. And
Mm-hmm,
most of the time, I find that doctors like talking to doctors. You don't talk to other people. And you don't, when you go to a consultation with a doctor,
mm-hmm,
most of the time, they just give you medicine and say, go and take the medicine and off you go. But I feel like sometimes we need to break things down. So, our body is full of nerves everywhere.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Absolutely. And that's where this neurobiology is really important. But also, I look at not just neurobiology, I look at the genes aspects of
mm,
psychology. This almost like the genetic and the psychological basis of our behaviors. I don't know if that's anything to do. But at the end of the day, our nervous system is made up of the central nervous system and what we call the peripheral nervous system. Now, the central nervous system, of course, I've got the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system. Two types. We've got the ones that send signals to our brain, and our
mm,
brain sends signals back to our body. And these are all carried by nerves. Now, when we look at the peripheral nervous system, there is one bit of it that is like voluntary, and there's another bit that is involuntary. The involuntary one is what we call the autonomic nervous system. As the
mm,
name says, it's automatic. We can't control it. I mean,
mm,
yes, we can control it in a way. So this autonomic nervous system is what we then have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nerves. The way I describe the sympathetic nerve is the fire, fight, fire. I say fire is fire, like it's fire, fire.
mm-hmm,
Sympathetic,
mm-hmm.
you don't control it. There's the fire. I keep saying fire. The fight and the flight
Fight.
response. And then the parasympathetic is the rest and the digest part of us.
Mm, mm,
Basically what happens, and I talked about this I think in my next podcast. I really break it down there because I find it really interesting. When our bodies are exposed to certain situations, our body releases a lot of chemicals. Now
mm,
these chemicals have an impact on the way our body cells respond to certain things. And for example, when we are afraid, whether it's real fear, when if a lion is in the room compared to you watching a lion down the road and they can come near you, both of them, your body just recognizes it as you're afraid. Your body
yeah.
releases these chemicals, and these chemicals is carried along by the nerves all through the body system. When it gets to the cells, it begins to help your body release genes that code proteins. Your body releases these proteins out as the way your body would respond. Your heart will start going faster, your stomach will start churning. And that is what then happens. You feel scared. And that's what sympathetic nervous system is, the fight response. But the parasympathetic system is what controls you, is the what calms you down, is what stops your heart rate. So you can imagine if there's no way of regulating yourself, regulating your emotion, and it's always just on fire all the time, it's fighting
Mm-hmm.
all the time, your heart is just racing all the time, your stomach is churning all the time. That's what happens when you can't learn to self regulate.
Yeah.
That's what happens with your heart rate. It just begins to go. And that's why people get hypertension because
Yeah.
of stress, because their body has just not learned to control and regulate those things back
Mm,
down. They get hypertension. Their immune system doesn't work anymore, partly because
mm,
you have released your cells to continue to produce and they have overproduced. They've even fed up on
mm,
producing. So a
mm,
lot of different changes happen at the chemical level. And it's
mm,
incredible how our emotions affect the chemicals produced in our body. And these
mm.
chemicals are the ones that control our body. So we're embodying our emotions. And that's what some
Yeah.
people call embodying emotions. And that's why
I love
trauma,
it.
especially childhood trauma, is really
Mm,
important. When
mm,
children are exposed to stress, their body changes, the way their cells, their genes changes. And that's why
mm,
stressed children eventually become stressed adults in a way,
mm,
partly because of the way their body has produced so many chemicals and their genes
mm,
have kind of changed in a way. I find it really interesting. But I talk about me in my next podcast, which will be coming out very soon. The one, the last podcast I'll probably say that I have done now is going to be the last podcast. But it's a very interesting field, and I'm sure you will find it really important as the basis of a lot of conversation. I find it
mm.
useful to people about it when I'm talking about their
Yeah.
emotions. It helps them see the fact, the reason why they need to learn how to self-regulate, whether
Mm,
it's through, like you said, having an anchor, maybe through praying, through
mm-hmm.
meditating, through mindfulness, conscious efforts to continue to learn to self-regulate. I
Agreed.
think that's what emotional wellness is, not denying the damage, like I always say,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not allowing the damage to control our lives
Control you.
by
Yeah.
having those self-care practices that you constantly do. Like I said, it's a journey, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, and that is
Mm-hmm.
what you have to constantly do. So sorry, I think I've talked too much. It is your show, Tomiisin.
I love it. Thank you for explaining that. It was so good.
That's beautiful. So as we round up, this is the final thing. Tomiisin, tell me, how do you, apart from emotional wellness, how do you look after yourself generally with your other part of your well-being, your physical well-being? We know your spiritual well-being, your intellect, your social well-being. How do you look after yourself?
Honestly, I'm a young mom and I have young children. And honestly, it can be a struggle sometimes. But
Mm,
like you said, being intentional is just so powerful. Like sometimes when the kids are gone to bed, I've gone to bed, I just take time to myself, just me. I'm just in that silence and just being present and just
mm,
in the moment. Sometimes is when I'm having a bath, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to allow this water to run through my body and
mm,
I'm just going to be there. And it's just the simple things. And I'm just going to allow that water to run through my body and I'm just going to enjoy the moment. It's so powerful. I go out before I don't do my nails. Now I go out, I just find time, I go do my nails and I just sit down there and enjoy the way they are pampering me, I really don't have a lot of time to go to the spa, but once in a while, I take time out, with my husband, go to the spa, have a good massage. I spend time worshiping. Worshiping is so powerful. Worship is in fact, I'm currently compiling a list that I'm going to share, with my community soon. I'm compiling like a healing worship playlist.
oh,
Just allow yourself to worship. Worship is such a powerful tool, to help you to get to that state of calmness and rest in your soul. I worship a lot. Journaling is so powerful. I don't do a lot of, read, by pen and paper, which is powerful as well. I use e-journals. I voice print my journals. I say whatever I
wow.
want to say in a voice note. I
I
talk
like
about my
that.
day. I talk to myself a lot in the mirror. I make funny faces. I laugh a lot about myself. I laugh a lot. Yeah.
It
I look at
shows.
myself. Yeah. I look at myself and make funny faces. This one I do is like, I just laugh at myself. I don't take myself too seriously. Yeah. I have my own personal life challenges, but I don't allow them to overwhelm me. Yeah. So those are some of the simple things that I do. I spend time with my friends as well. I love to spend time with my friends. I love belly laughs.
Yes.
I send memes to my friends and I just laugh. I laugh a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So those things just help me, they help me take care of
Those
myself.
are
They help
free
me
things. You don't need to
self-regulate.
go to the gym for that.
Yeah.
Having a belly laugh. Some people call it
Hmm.
laughter yoga, whatever. Just laughter size or exercise, laughter
Hmm.
exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I quite like the way you talked about your journaling. I find that really interesting. I'm a paper and pen person. So in my room
Hmm.
right now, I have like different, almost like different post-it I have here, I have there. They come to me and I get confused because I'm trying, where did I put that thought that I wrote down? I have it on my phone. I have it in my computer. All my thoughts are just everywhere.
Yeah.
Amazing. I can't thank you enough, Tomiisin.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
I feel really, really grateful. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for impacting lives. Thank you for personally touching me this morning. It's almost like a release. Sometimes you need to hear these things over and over and over, even
Absolutely.
though you know it. But just listening to somebody else talk about it validates your own emotions. It validates you as a
Absolutely.
person. And that is exactly what I have felt this morning. Thank you for giving me that gentle nudge in my soul. That's the way I feel like Jai. Oh my God. Well, I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get too emotional. But I know what you would tell me, Tommy. It's yes, it's normal. Thank you so much. I want to believe that there's somebody out there, and it's for you, woman. You are listening to both of us talking today, and you wish that you just could be like us, smiling, laughing, and really having a deep conversation with us. And I can assure you, Tomiisin's books are opened. She's got an Instagram page, she's got a YouTube channel, and she's got a book. But Tomiisin, please tell us how people can reach you and what programs. I know there is one beautiful program that is going to come up in August, but
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about how people can reach you.
All right. Yeah, you can reach me on Instagram at Tomiisin Balogun. My Tomiisin has a double high. I'm the only Tomiisin in the world that has a double high. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Tomiisin Balogun on Instagram. I'm on YouTube as well. Tomiisin Balogun. You can check out my website, www.tomiisinbalogun.com. I have a program coming up. It's called Soul Spa. Soul Spa is for anyone, who has gone through grief, who is experiencing a form of trauma. You just feel like you don't know what is wrong with you. You need to heal. So it's a 1 day retreat that is coming up on the 10th of August. We're just going to come together, unmask the pain, unburden, find healing and find joy again. Yeah. So you're going to reclaim your joy. It's going to
Yes.
be powerful. So you can register. You can find the links on my page on Instagram. Yeah, I'm also my products are also on Seller. Just Google Purposeful Pain by Tomiisin Balogun. You get it. You get a way to get it on Seller. It's also on Amazon. Yeah. So those are the places you can reach me. There's also a boot camp that Dr. Jai was talking about. It's a boot camp with DDK is coming up in August as well. I'm going to be teaching. Yeah, you can register for that as well. Yeah. So those are the places you can reach me on Instagram. I'm everywhere at Tomiisin Balogun. Apart from Twitter. Yeah. Twitter is the one I cannot deal with.
No, it's too short. Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much. And everybody everywhere, please help me to thank Tomiisin however you can. Please follow our page. I'm going to put some of our links on on the podcast notes. So feel free to link up, ask me questions. I'm happy to connect you to Tomiisin. I feel she's a
Thank
powerhouse
you.
and she has a lot for our generation. And I'm just grateful that God is raising people like her to meet the needs of our community. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Tomiisin, for what you're doing. Thank you for sharing
Thank
your
you
story.
so much, Dr. Jai, for having me. Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
That's great. So thank you, everybody. That's the end of this podcast. Bye.